Hey guys,
Howdy.
what's up and welcome back or to the Roomies Digest. My name's Christine.
I'm Mo.
And today we're doing our September wrap up.
Yep.
Do you remember
I don't.
anything from September? Bum, bum,
Da 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 da.
bum, bum.
Da.
So you guys know that every month we do a Book of the Month reading vlog as well as a Netgalley reading vlog. So today we're just going to go over the books that we did in our Book of the Month reading vlog. If you guys are interested in that vlog, you can click it up in the cards. But we ended up reading a couple of books. I ended up reading The Love Hypothesis, so did Monique. We both read this one. And safe to say, spoiler alert for the vlog, we both loved this book. So much. The hype is real and valid. The next book that I ended up reading for Book of the Month was Not a Happy Family by Sherry LaPena. This was just a great book to start off spooky season. It wasn't necessarily like a thriller, but definitely a mystery and, you know, kind of in the vein of a whodunit. So it was a lot of fun. And then the last book that I ended up reading for the Book of the Month reading vlog was Sky Falling, which follows, you know, a late 30s woman who travels and just has like this really great job, and then one day finds out that, you know, she may have a 12-year-old and that 12-year-old may want a relationship with her after years of not knowing who she is. So it's definitely like a story of self-discovery with a lot of social commentary in it, and really liked it.
And then I read the final book in the Kids Quotient series called The Heart Principle. It just follows really the main story of Anna and her romantic lead Quan, and just their journey to, you know, more confidence for themselves, taking care of themselves, and really Anna's relationship with her family and her journey of being autistic. I loved it. I really did.
Did you cry?
I did not cry, but, you know, I was really invested in
The story,
and I love Quan. And I do want to now read The Bride Test, because you'll see in the vlog, but Miss Helen does a great job at just this family of guys. It's just like, anyway.
honestly, one of my favorite series of the year. But yeah, okay, and then along with our Book of the Month vlog, we also have a Netgalley vlog, which is just all the books that are coming out in the next month. So all these books that I'm mentioning are coming out in October or have already come out in October. So let's go through the list. First and foremost, we have Squad by Maggie Takuta Hall. This is a graphic novel that follows a young girl who moves to a new high school and wants to be in with the cool crowd.
Of course.
Then when she gets accepted, she finds out that they're werewolves.
Perfect.
Chaos ensues. It was a really good time. The next book that I ended up reading for this vlog was The Keeper of Night, which follows Rin, our like half British, half Japanese, basically soul reaper, who doesn't feel like she belongs in either Japan or Britain because no one really accepts her. It's the 1800s and there's still a lot of racism going on. So she has to prove that she is just as bad as the next person. And when I say this girl does not care about anybody but her brother, her younger brother, she really will rip out someone's trachea, okay? The next book that I ended up reading was Any Sign of Life, which follows our main character who is a 6'3" basketball player, like a young woman, which I really, really liked. And she ends up getting sick before a basketball tournament. When she wakes up, everyone is gone.
Of course.
Literally, the apocalypse has happened, okay? And she doesn't know what's happening. So she tries to go out and find any sign of life. Get into there? Wrapped it all together.
Yeah.
She also has a dog companion, which, like,
So,
I love. This is a YA book, and it definitely has like a little bit of a romance, which I wasn't expecting, but I accepted. I loved it. I was here for it. But so definitely apocalyptic vibes, definitely like survivalist vibes. The next book that I ended up reading, which was one of my most anticipated Netgalley books, was All the Feels by Olivia Dade. This basically just follows Alex, who is like the co-worker of, what is his name? The guy from Spoiler Alert. I forget his name right now.
Eric. Ethan.
I don't think it's either of those, but anyway, I want to say like Marcus. That's his name. His name's Marcus. So anyway, he's co-workers with Marcus, so that's kind of how these two books tie together. They both work on like this Game of Thrones type show, and Alex is a wild card. He's got ADHD, so everybody just thinks he's hyper and annoying all the time. He ends up having to have like a handler on set because everybody's just like, he's a wild card. We never know what he's gonna do. And I really like this book because you kind of got to see like the inside of Alex's brain and kind of like how he goes through life and his difficulties while also him falling in love. It was so great. I don't know if I like it more than the other one, but I think I liked Alex more than I liked Marcus.
In the end.
So do with that what you will. The next book that I ended up reading for the Netgalley reading blog was The Color of Dragons. This is like a King Arthur retelling about a young girl, Maggie, who has magic. She doesn't know how to use it. Magic is coveted in the kingdom, so when the king finds out, he comes to get her. Meanwhile, the king's champion, Griffin,
love that name,
kind of has like a little crush on her.
Griff.
And she's like, you're just a brawny dude. Like, I don't even like you. Ugh. Even though you win championships and like you're really hot.
I don't
whatever.
like you at all. Like, no.
And he's like, yeah, but like... I'm the king's champion.
I'm the king's champion.
So yeah, chaos ensues. I didn't really see how this was like a super stellar King Arthur retelling because it didn't really have any of that in it. It's kind of like something that's included at the very end. But you guys can see it in the vlog. You'll see the tea. And then last but not least, the probably favorite from this vlog, like my actual like surprise, you know, who knew that this was gonna be just such a good book, is Crossbones by Kimberly Vale. Crossbones is basically like if you want a Pirates of the Caribbean knockoff book, but with its own plot, own story, own like love interest, magic system, all that stuff, but like the vibes are there. That's what this is. And it is definitely my new like favorite pirate book. Definitely one of my new favorite like YA fantasies. Whoo, it was a good time. Okay, something about pirate captains and like pirate kings and just like pirates. Anyway, still thinking about that book to this day. So yeah, that's pretty much the wrap up for the Netgalley books.
Nice.
I read last month.
I did not read any Netgalley books last month.
We do what we can. So
I didn't read the whole thing, but I'm counting it. But I read a very short introduction to French philosophy.
What's weird is that green literally matches your shirt perfectly.
Whoa, you're right.
Did you do that on purpose?
No, I did not. Honestly, the pants too. Oh, you can't see the pants, but anyway.
Honestly, the purple too.
No, that's gray. You're wearing gray.
Anyway.
You just want me to fight on camera. But yes, I bought this on our first shopping.
Oh, to the Barnes & Noble and
I bought this at Skylight.
Oh my god, so long ago.
I know, our
wow.
first shopping
If
vlog.
you guys are interested in that vlog, we'll link it up in the cards.
And I was like, you know, in case I want to go to some dinner parties and like talk about French philosophy. Well, I never...
Always looking to show off.
No, I never went to any dinner parties and I haven't had to talk about French philosophy. But I still was interested in the history of French philosophy. So this is kind of a great breakdown of like where it started, you know, who wrote the first French philosophy essay, and then like how it evolved into modern times. So if you just want to get a quick overview, this is the book for you. If you want it for a class, if you want it just to know like, oh, Descartes did this, blah, 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 did that.
Wait, you wanted this for dinner parties during quarantine? Is that what you're telling me?
I thought that it would be useful. I don't think I personally bought it for dinner parties. I said that, so it wouldn't seem strange. But I was genuinely interested in learning about French philosophy.
Okay. Just so we're clear. Because that vlog definitely came out, like, in the middle of quarantine.
But you never know. What if one day, you know, I'm playing a game and I need to know about dualism or something.
I believe it. Definitely a useful book, I would say.
Anyway, I read it. I like this type of book. Like, I like the very short introductions and stimulating ways into new subjects. I enjoy it. I'm rating this. It's like they have lots of different subjects. And if you want to learn about it, because you're pushing all my buttons, I would recommend these books to you, to whatever topics stimulate your brain. And now I'm going to put the book down.
Anyway, okay, so last month was September, so obviously I talked about doing a sci-fi September vlog. So let's get into those books. I'm going to link you guys up to the vlog up here. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to go into detail and my star ratings of these books up there, but I will run through the books that I, talk about in that vlog. All right, so first and foremost, I've got the two first books of the Lunar Chronicles, Cinder and Scarlet. We had a good time, y'all. I've never read this series before, and of course, it was a cover buy immediately. I'm definitely more invested in Cinder's storyline than I am in Scarlet's, but from trusted sources who have read this series before, they all tell me that Scarlet's book is probably the least strongest of this series. So that's good, because that means when I move on to Crests, we're gonna be gearing up for some crazy stuff. But I'm definitely involved in the plot. Like, I definitely want to know what's going on, and this is actually a retelling that I'm really enjoying. So there we go. Had a fun time with that. Next book that I read for that vlog is Gear Breakers. This follows a young pilot of like this big mech tech who kind of doesn't want to be a pilot for the big government anymore. Like, she wants to be part of the resistance. And the resistance is led by this young girl who is a gear breaker, because she literally goes into the mech and breaks the gears of the mech, and that's how she resists the government. So anyway, it just kind of follows their story, and you know, like maybe a little bit of like a love thing, like a little bit, but don't go in there thinking that this is going to be all about that. Like, it's definitely like one sprinkle of salt. Like, if you could have like one little,
why even put the salt in there?
Thing of salt. I ask that same thing. Why sell it as salty if there's only one kernel?
Yeah, that's something I own.
Anyway, so you can see my reaction to Gear Breakers in that vlog. And then last but not least, in my favorite book from this vlog, The First Sister by Lyndon A. Lewis. I feel like I've been screaming into the void about this book all month, but this book was so much fun. I talk about it in the vlog in detail, but all you need to know is if you are a beginner sci-fi reader, like sci-fi is your stuff, like any kind of person who enjoys any kind of sci-fi, I believe you will like this book. I recommend it to you. I think that you should read it. And
that's all she can say.
Please go watch the vlog, okay? Like, if this, I'm not convincing you right now, you need to see why it's so good. And then really last but not least, because this was a sleeper agent and I kind of forgot about all these books when I was doing the vlog, but I did read the Ice Planet Barbarians book 3 through 10, so 7 of them last month. I have officially spiraled. You know, we're here, and I admit that I may have, you know, listened to a lot of audiobooks last month.
Every other day she would come in and like squeal about a book, and I realized at this point that as she's coming in, this is not the same book. No. You know, it's like a different book, because the books aren't that long.
They're not.
And I'm like, what's happening? Liz is with the and then
That's true. It's true. I will not go into all of these books. Okay, that would be chaos. That would be psychotic.
She recommends.
Okay, but what I will say is this. The reason why I like these books is because they are short. They're like 200 something pages. You get plot, but not like an in-depth crazy plot like Silver Flames, right? A Court of Silver Flames. Because like when that came up, we were like, what's the point? You know what I mean? This is actually a long-going plot over all these books that makes sense. It's not too crazy, and you've got a little bit of smut. It's not like smut for like 500 pages. You know what I mean? You got your smut, you got your plot, then you've got a hook at the end that makes you want to read the next one, and that is why these books are so freaking addicting. That, and just something about the Barbarians. Like, these men, they really love their women, and I am jealous a little. I'll admit it here in this space where it's safe. But
yes.
That's all that I can really say. Like, if y'all like smutty like books and you like sci-fi, you will like Ice Planet Barbarians, and I highly recommend this gold Miss Ruby. She really takes care of us in this series. Okay, and that is all that I read for Sci-Fi September.
I actually read a book for Sci-Fi September.
I love that. That's great.
I read Sleeping Giant. It has been recommended multiple times.
By multiple
people. It is book
people.
1 of the Themis Files, and I can't wait to read the rest of them. I'm rating it 5 stars. The audiobook was really good, but if I'm ranking my audiobooks from like the best
to the worst,
no, just like the best audiobook I've ever experienced in my life, that still hands down goes to Daisy Jones and the Six. It's still a really good audiobook, but like I was expecting it to hit like Daisy Jones, but
yeah, like in the gut.
But anyway, I'm not talking about Daisy Jones. I'm talking about Sleeping Giants. And when I say that this book is so good, you're trying to figure out what they're like studying, like what they're putting together, and it's just it's kind of told through interviews. So like this guy is interviewing these people and you're just figuring out as you're getting the responses from the interviewees, you're realizing what's happening, and then there's twists, and then you're like, it was just so many twists. Definitely
like good ones.
Yes, definitely recommend.
Nice.
It was a good read for me.
Also, it's like so skinny. I know I say this every time, but I like first, it to be hyped so much.
Yeah, it's because they find this like metal hand, and they're trying to figure out what this hand is for. Like find it in like some, place. It's set on Earth. Everything's the way it is. It's not anything. No new planet you have to learn about.
So basically, it would be like an urban sci-fi. Like instead of an urban fantasy, it's like an urban sci-fi.
Yeah, it's like literally they're like trying to figure out what this hand is for, and then it just explodes from there.
Cool.
Definitely recommend.
Nice.
I was like, I was over here. Definitely recommend.
It's out of the frame, but we definitely like it. The next book that I want to talk about is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. This follows a young princess who has gone through some tragedies, but is learning how to be like the next queen of this kingdom, and also a young man who is like a not so well off refugee who, this is interestingly enough, but I think he has like anxiety, he deals with that throughout this book, so that was really cool to have in a fantasy book. I ended up rating this a 4 stars. It was really fun. It has like the trials in it, sort of like a chosen one trope, but done really, really well. And the magic system in this book was just so much fun. I really enjoyed it, and there was a little tiny bit of romance. And the end of this book, it was like whiplash. I was like, what's happening right now? Like, what is even going on? So I know that the new one is coming out. I think it's coming out this month. I'm really excited to follow in that series and see what happens next, because the end of that book was psychotic. Psychotic. And then also in the fantasy realm of, it's kind of a similar setting, I ended up reading Beasts of Prey last month. I really, really, really love this book. I really love this book. I don't really know how else to describe it other than the vibes are like Jumanji, Jungle Cruise. It's these two people set in the jungle. They have to figure out how to get magic back to their land.
No one's like royalty.
Yeah, no one's like royalty. There's literally a guy who's trying to get into the military but isn't in the military yet, right? So he's trying to get into it. And then a literal zookeeper. She's literally a zookeeper. No one special, nothing crazy is going on. And these two people who kind of butt heads a little bit, they both go into this jungle, this magical jungle, trying to figure out what is terrorizing their city and how to get the magic back to where they are. Very simplified version of what's happening in this book, but I loved it so much. The plot twists, y'all. When I say I didn't even know, I was like, wait a damn minute. Wait a minute. So it was really, really, really good. And it confused me because there's a POV from back in the day, from the history point of view, something that happened in the past to bring us to the future. And it was confusing me because I was like, who is this other character? What's happening right now? But when it all came together, y'all, I'm still thinking about it, clearly. So highly recommend Beasts of Prey if you're into fantasy books. It was a 4.5 for me, and I had such a good time. Such a good time. Speaking of fantasy books, last month I read A Dance with the Fey Prince by Lisa Kova. This was highly recommended to me by just people online, on BookTube, BookTok. A lot of people were like, this is the fantasy smut that you're gonna want to read.
They weren't wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of were, though. They kind of were. So I ended up rating this a 3 stars. This book was okay. I was reading it and I was having a good time, and I was going through it, but I just wanted a little bit more.
In what regard?
At the end of the day, just a little bit more. I really enjoyed this for the world. I think that's why I kept reading it, because it was really interesting to kind of have this human go into the Fey realm with this Fey prince. They have to work together, and he doesn't want to be with a human because they're weak and ew. But there may be a little spicy something senorita. Anyway, I think my main issue with this is that the buildup wasn't enough for them to be where they were when they were saying that they loved each other. Does that make sense? So the premise of this book is that she is arranged to be married with this man, but she doesn't know he's a fae, right? And it's based off of a Greek mythology, Greek mythology myth, Eros and Psyche. So that's why I thought I was gonna really, really like it. But yeah, just something was off. Something was off. I don't know. It's not my favorite. It was a 3. It was a fine time. It's a fine time. Anyway, I've talked about that book too much, so I'm gonna take it away. Give it to you.
I also completed, well, never mind. If you wanted to do your one.
I've got 2 more.
I was gonna be like, I also completed a fantasy series.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So the next on the list, I ended up reading The Prince and the Dressmaker. Guys, this graphic novel, it was so sweet. It's a 5 stars. Like, literally, it's about a young prince who likes to dress up in dresses, and he employs this really talented dressmaker to make him into Lady Chrysanthemum. I'm not really sure what her name is. I can't really remember. But it's like so freaking cute because this guy, he just wants to like go out and like live his life. Basically, essentially will go out every night in these like beautiful, stunning gowns that this like young dressmaker makes. And of course, she was underappreciated by her boss. So the prince came in and swooped her up. He said, I see talent when I see it. And I'm gonna pay you for your talent, girl. But then he ends up like taking her with him on some of his adventures. And it's just so freaking cute. Y'all, it's just so freaking cute. And of course, there's like a moment where, he gets found out by the rest of the kingdom. And I'm not going to tell y'all the end, but it was so cute. And I highly recommend The Prince and the Dressmaker. I highly recommend it. It's a really quick read. It's just a good time. And you think you're funny, huh? You're really that bored, huh?
I'm not bored. I was enjoying myself. And it helps me understand what you're saying.
What was I saying?
You can't put me on the spot. I get nervous.
In front of who? It's literally me and you.
You scare me.
I scare you? What?
You were just saying it was a good time. And they have to go on journeys. And then you stuck a finger up your nose and I blacked out.
Intermission. Story time. Every time Monique wants to mess with me, she'll copy what I'm doing, right? Because she thinks it's funny. And what's really funny is when she starts doing the words, she'll literally say the same words as me because it's a fun game for her. Whatever. But the one thing that always takes her out is when I pick my nose. I do it every time. I just stick my finger up my nose, and I know that's disgusting, but you guys are seeing a part of us today, so you're welcome. Because Monique is a germaphobe. So, she really can't stand anything germy or gross. So, picking your nose is, the perfect thing. Things you know about us. Things you know about us. So, The Prince and the Dressmaker, highly recommend. I got it through Libby, randomly at our library, and I, love doing this, where I'll just be like, what graphic novels are available? And it was just such a quick read, and, honestly, the dresses are so pretty. Highly recommend. And then last but not least for me, of course, you guys know that I am part of the Fantasy Series Book Club, where we read a fantasy series, and we kind of finished up our first fantasy series ever, which ended with We Free the Stars. Follows these 2 young, star-crossed lovers. There are elves and Sapphin, and one guy is the Prince of Darkness, and this girl is the ultimate huntress, Katniss Everdeen-esque. And it's just kind of a little epic YA fantasy. That being said, I ended up rating We Free the Stars 3 stars. I had a good time. It was a fine time. It was a medium time. But this book ultimately just moves a little too slowly for me, the series in general. And though it's super rich in the descriptions and stuff, I just kind of felt overall, for what we were getting, the amount of book that we're getting, not enough is happening for me to connect to the characters. That's not to say that there aren't beautiful moments. This is gonna sound so rude, but the very last page of this book, y'all, the scene of that is so clear in my brain. And that's what I'll say about Hafsa, is that she can paint a picture with her words so that you clearly know what's happening. Yes, it just takes a really long time to get there. And that is ultimately, one of the reasons why I didn't like Addie LaRue, right? I gave it a 3 stars for basically the same reason. That being said, the very last scene in this book, y'all, beautiful, magical. I had a moment where I was like, I may cry. I stan that this book is actually about Nasir and no one else. Like, this is his book, his story, his love story, some could say. So that's a We Free the Stars. If you guys want to see more of the live show where we talk about this book on Fantasy Series, I'll link it up in the cards so you guys can take a look at that and see what the rest of the book club thought. I know that I might be in the minority about this book, but you know, it was a fine time. It was a fine time.
And shockingly, I also finished a fantasy series myself. I finished Vengeful. This is the companion to the...
It's the villains duology.
Yeah, it was book after Vicious. And I gave it 4 stars. This one's a little... I feel like it's a little thicker than Vicious. I don't know if you got Vicious around you, but I feel like it's a little thicker.
It's on my TBR thing. What's funny is that Fantasy Series is actually reading Vicious and then Vengeful the next month. So Vengeful in November and we're reading Vicious this month.
And
so
I really enjoyed this. It wasn't as good as Vicious was because Vicious was like, you know, you're just getting the mind of the 2 main guys and you're figuring out what, because it's like really more of like they just really hate each other in the first book. This is just more...
What is this one about?
It's about this one woman. So in the world that is in the villain series, there's people called EOs and they have extraordinary abilities. That comes out in the first book, but then, you know, people have these things, and it's about this one woman who has it, and it still follows the main characters, Victor and Eli, and the people from the first book, and it's just about their lives and how they're dealing with the things that happen in the first book, and then
it's just not as good because there's another character.
The main, yeah, that's my opinion. I think the Marcella character was kind of blah. Like she wasn't like it wasn't. Not in a mean way. Like, she had a good plot. Like, her backstory is interesting, but I just feel like it was overshadowed by other aspects. Like, I, like, remember it, but then I don't remember it.
Yeah.
And then I have a lot more questions. And then I was looking it up, and apparently she was going to make it a series, a trilogy, but she decided to put everything into this book. So now I'm like, I have more questions, Miss V.E. I need
answers.
I was just like, what? Because I like the way it ended. I was like, what? Who is this supposed to be? Like, who is this person supposed to be? And so now I've been doing some deep dive. I might have to like actually read Vicious again just to understand something. But it's not like a full read. I just need to go to certain chapters. But 4 stars. I know people say that this one's not as good, and technically they're right. But I still think it's a good follow up. You get a lot of backstory, especially on Eli's character, and I recommend it. And yeah, that is it. And Victor's a hottie.
Victor! All right, cool.
That was it.
That's it.
I read books this month, y'all.
Yeah.
I told you I would.
Love to see it. What was your favorite book of the month?
Ooh. I think I read 3 new... Okay. Not Vicious. Vengeful was really fun. Heart Principle was really good.
Did you like the Love Hypothesis?
I forgot about the Love Hypothesis. I also read that. I think everything I read was evenly matched. What if I'll just do this? This was my favorite. Just kidding. I was kidding. That's not my favorite book of the month. It's the tie between Heart Principle and the Love Hypothesis.
Romance.
Yeah, I'm going with the romance.
We knew it.
Sleeping Giants was really good too, but it was for different reasons.
Right.
I'm going to go with a 3-way tie. What about you?
The First Sister.
Yeah.
The First Sister.
You've been talking about
for
that
sure.
one a lot.
Yeah. It's like if you want to read Red Rising, but like you want it on a much smaller level where you don't have to be like running while you're reading the book. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? When you read Red Rising, it's like Pierce Brown will tell you information and he will not explain it. You just have to keep up.
Yeah.
Whereas in First Sister, it's like you can walk at a nice pace. You're not out of breath. Everything's making sense, and it's really, really good.
I appreciate that. I will definitely be reading The First Sister.
Yeah, it's very good. I have the second one. I bought the second one recently, and I can't wait to get into it. I cannot wait. Because the end of The First Sister, oh my god, you don't even know what's going to be happening. You think you're funny, you're not. You guys gotta whip it.
I can't see it, so it doesn't. Stop!
So that is our September wrap up. If you guys like this video, give it a like for us. Comment down below your favorite book of September. And if you made it this far in the video, leave us a butterfly emoji.
Also drop a purple heart because BTS is coming to LA.
Is that like their thing? Purple hearts?
Yeah.
Oh. So should we change it to purple hearts?
No.
Okay.
Butterflies are perfectly fine.
If you want to support me and Monique on this channel, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell if you don't want to miss another video from us. And until our next one, we'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye!